Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about a book called Show Your Work by Kleon. I'm starting a new mini-series where I will summarize books that have most impacted me and some of the lessons that I've learned through these books. So I've only recently read the book and it has drastically changed how I view self-promotion and how it's given me a lot of insight into what can happen when you share what you know with the world. So I'll briefly summarize the book in a couple of sentences just so that you guys get a general overview of what the book is about, and then I will share some of my personal notes that I've taken and some takeaways that I've gotten from the book. So in short, Show Your Work details how when you start sharing your work with the world, you open yourself to more possibilities and opportunities than you could have ever imagined. And by rejecting the notion of the lone genius myth, you can contribute to something great. The book focuses a lot on focusing and sharing your process with the world rather than just showing the finished product. People are interested in the process as well as the finished product, and you can learn and grow an audience of people who know, like, and trust you when you start showing your imperfect, unfinished work with the world. Austin explains how we need to move from a consumer-centric mindset to a producer mindset, not just consuming other people's content, but also creating our own. And if you continue creating your own work and putting more stuff out into the world, you will eventually build an audience of people who know, like, and trust you and value the work that you do. So that is the very short summary of the book. It definitely doesn't do justice, so I hope that you do go and read the book. So my personal thoughts and opinions on the book. This book is not just for creatives. This book is for anyone who can benefit from having your work seen by other people, and in today's society, that is everyone. A new way of operating. This book details that showing your work is not as an arduous activity as we normally think it will be. We like to think that whatever we share with the world needs to be absolutely perfect, and that generally limits us to only sharing the best moments or our final finished products. But by showing our process, it's even more valuable to others than just showing them the final product. By showing your process, you will attract people that are interested in the same things as you are, thus building an audience. The benefits of showing your work. You may wonder, why would people be interested in your process and why should you share what you do? Austin goes on to write that people tend to buy into products and services a lot easier once they know how it's made and where it comes from. If people understand the process that goes on behind the scenes, people can understand its value and are more likely to pay for your products and services. Seeing how things are made is very interesting. That's why there's so many television series about how things are made. So by sharing your work with others, you are satisfying the curiosity of your customers and also building an anticipation of their final product. This also has a chance of showing what value you provide. Share your trade secrets. Austin writes in the book that a lot of people are afraid of sharing their trade secrets in fear of them losing their customers because they might do it on their own, or them giving away their secret sauce to their competitors might put them out of business. Austin goes on to write that even if you give away your methods, a complete beginner with the same methods cannot replicate what the master can do because it takes years of experience and practice to master those methods. Becoming a documentarian of what you do. Becoming a documentarian of what you do means that you actively look for and see what you can turn into bite-sized pieces of content that people can consume that will interest and satisfy their curiosity. Don't overthink this process, just start. Your audience will tell you what they like down the line. Don't take weeks and weeks of preparation to find the right piece of content. Rather, just start doing it. You will see by the interaction you get what content works and what content doesn't. Austin encourages us to do this by either getting a work journal and writing down your processes, or using an audio recorder on your phone or wherever to record what you're doing, taking photos of your process in different stages, or making a short vlog about what you're doing during the day. Austin highlights a crucial key point in actually documenting what you do consistently. He says that this process isn't to make art, it is simply to keep track of everything that is going on around you. Again, we think in terms of perfectionism, where we need to actually just think of this as keeping track of what we're doing. Sharing your work with others brings along its own rewards, such as meeting new people, making new friends, or possibly even furthering your career. The so what methodology. When you start sharing your work with the world, it is very important for your own mental health's sake to adopt the so what methodology. When you share or post something, do not constantly go back and refresh your feed and see how many likes or follows you've gotten from the content that you've posted. It doesn't matter. Your likes do not define you or your work. Showing up and showing your work every day, that is what matters in the long run. If you are concerned with what to share or not, ask yourself these few questions. Is it entertaining? Is it helpful? Is it educational? And is it inspiring? If the answer is yes for any of these, you can post it. But if you are still unsure about posting a certain piece of content, let it sit for 24 hours and come back to it. You can also always refer it to a friend and ask for their opinion before posting it. Go and register a good domain name. Austin writes that if you get any value from the book, it is that you should go and register your own domain name. Social media apps may come and go over time, and some may disappear completely or decrease in relevancy over time. You cannot control that, but you can control and own your own piece of the internet, your own domain name. Your domain name will serve you in sharing your work for the rest of your life. It may not grow your audience as much as other social media apps might, but it is all yours. You control what you do with it, what you put on there, how you design your website, everything. So many amazing things can happen if you decide to start your own website, and it can change your life if you let it. In this day and age, it's easier and cheaper than ever to build a website from scratch with third-party web builder tools, which is a fraction of the price that it used to be. Tell good stories. Tell a story about your work. Good companies know this and take advantage of this. What generally distinguishes one company from another that sells the exact same product is the story that they tell about themselves, their branding. You need to do that for yourself and your work. If you have a good story about how you got to where you are now, tell that story and make that your brand. Be interested in others. When sharing your work, it is a two-way street. Therefore, in order to be interesting to others, you need to be interested in them first. If you're not interested in others' work, you're cutting yourself off from learning and growing a great deal. And you're on your way to becoming, as Austin puts it, human spam. Don't become attached. Once you start getting more responses from people when posting your work into the world, it is important to not become attached to the validation that you get. Learn to take good feedback and criticisms, learn from it, and move on. Do not let negative or positive responses get to your head. You cannot control what people say. All you can control is how you perceive and react to what people say. Go and find your inspiration. If you're feeling burnt out, or if you're struggling to keep up with all the work that you want to share with the world, take a step back and take some time off to go find something that inspires you and refuels you. Make sure that taking off to find inspiration doesn't become an excuse for complacency and not sharing with the world. Take enough time off to find some inspiration and get back on track as soon as possible. It might be a good idea to limit that off period where you get refueled for inspiration so that you don't procrastinate in getting back into work mode. Move on. After you have shared as much as you can on one topic and you've exhausted that topic, move on to the next. Learn something new and continue going forward. This is the same for your work as it is for what you share. Once you've mastered something, you move on and start learning a new skill. When sharing our work, we need to adopt the student's mindset of constantly learning and constantly growing. This way, as we grow as people, we always have something to share with the world. Sell out. After a long period of time of sharing your work consistently, you may be at a point where you can monetize your audience when the time comes. You may need to leverage your audience in order to help you produce more of that work that you're constantly sharing. Bands are known for asking for donations from their audience in order to help them produce their next album. Asking your audience for patronage cannot be taken without giving back to them in a way that makes sense for them to support you. Patreon is a great example of this. Patreon is a platform where creators can create exclusive content as an incentive for their patrons. Don't quit. Consistency is the key for everything great in life. I know it may seem hard sharing your work constantly, not knowing whether it's making a difference at all. But if you just don't quit and you stick with it for the long haul, good things will happen. All people who have achieved greatness and success have done so by taking consistent action over a long period of time to get where they are now. That wraps up my very short summary of the book. I highly suggest that you grab yourself a copy of it. It will really add a lot of value to your life. So, who should read it? Austin is a writer who draws, and as such, this book may seem like it is specifically for the creatives, for artists, and so on. But this book applies to pretty much everyone in every field. In today's society, if you do not share your work doesn't exist. Therefore, I'd highly suggest that everyone reads this book and start the process of sharing their work with the world. So, in truth, I'd recommend that everyone get this book, especially if you're focusing on building a business or building a personal brand for yourself. Some recommended reading I'd suggest. If you haven't read it already, Austin has written another book called Steal Like an Artist, which I'd highly recommend. As Austin writes in Show Your Work, if Steal Like an Artist was about stealing influence from other people, this book is about influencing others by letting them steal from you. Another book I'd suggest along this topic is Jab 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk. This book delves on very similar topics but focuses more on the business aspect of how to turn your audience into an actual business for yourself. This book shows you how to produce content that helps you to take advantage of social media while building a business with integrity. This book will show you how to sell to others by first creating massive amounts of value. So that is all for this video. I hope that you guys got value out of it. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.